What's up everyone, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'll be making a full review for the Romancing Festival Musashi's banner. That brings Musashi as a slash and lightning damage dealer that can also give you plenty of attack and defense boost. Philosopher, an area attacker that can improve damage of the party that uses area attacks. BX10, a character that can counter and buff status offensively and defensively. Let's go straight out to our srs.xyz website. Musashi is the first one, gives the name to the meta, and is the best character here, easily. We have 140% SGR, that's pretty high value, one of the highest ones in the game, 110% endurance and 101% will. Those are actually pretty safe values. 92% agility is nice, he does not need to be fast anyway. Moving on, he starts the fight with 13 BP, and then he will grant all surviving allies guard up very large. That will decrease the damage taken by 50% for only the first turn. It does make sense when you check all the other passives. He will also block the first hit for everyone in the party. And then on the start of a turn, he will grant two different effects. Let's talk first about Sword's Mastery Supremacy. This, when attacked, you will get the following effects that triggers once. All allies attack boost by 20%. 2 turns. If the enemy uses an AoE attack towards you, you trigger 5 times separately from each one of your characters. That already improves attack boost by 100%. And the defense boost, that will decrease damage taken by 15%. In this case, you can trigger easily because the first hit will be blocked, and then if the enemy uses an AoE attack, you will then have 5 stacks of minus 15%. In the next turn, you can trigger it again, so that you can have as much as 10 stacks of defense boost. You only need to be hit once, much like Lolo. Well, let's talk more about other stuff. You will also give another effect for everyone, that when they attack with slash attacks, they will activate the following. This time, it can trigger twice. They will get a slash attack boost that will improve slash damage by 55%. Or 2 turns, will stack. So if your character has at least one chase attack, it will trigger 55 on the first hit and another 55 on the second hit. And if it has multiple attacks, like characters like Diva, for example, then you can see the benefit of 220% slash attack boost. You'll also be able to recover your HP up to twice, around 400 per hit, and also recover BP. That would be 2 plus 2 if your character has a chase attack. That is actually insane. Remember that we got the Antark that will also give you 4 BP for blunt attacks. We are getting a lot more effects with Musashi. Now, it is interesting to compare this all to Lolo. The reason being that Lolo is also a slash attacker, not really a damage dealer, but Lolo works for any type of squad. With familiar protection, on the start of a fight, you can have 8 stacks of this. That means that your starting damage is pretty low. I mean, damage you receive from the enemies, of course. The attack boosts of Lolo are actually pretty nice, but we'll be checking the attack boost part of Musashi as well. But just talking about the defensive part, Lolo will eventually reach only 3 familiar protection per turn, meaning that you get as much as 3 stacks of minus 20% damage. Musashi gives you more. And also give you BP generation and HP recover, so they are pretty similar on this regard, with Lolo giving you extra BP gauge, that being very different. Okay, let's get back into Musashi. The problem is that Musashi requires slash team, while Lolo does not require a slash team. But if you are using a slash one, you will prefer to use Musashi because he gives even more stuff, unless you can bring them together. Okay. On the start of a turn, an attack boost for everyone 15%. And then activates the following 2 times per battle. For himself, a heat up that improves damage potential by 50%, and a weak heat up that improves damage by 50% when landing weak attacks. Well, Musashi is a slash and lightning damage dealer. If the enemy is weak to any of those 2 elements, you're going to take benefit. So on turn 2, you already have a 200% damage increase. You also has another 30%. And then you reduce damage taken by 30 at all times and by another 40% if you resist. Now let's talk about the effects that are given out to the party. 2 times per battle, you're going to improve slash damage for everyone by 50%, including Musashi. In the next turn, you're going to improve again, so 100% slash damage increase. All of Musashi attacks are slash based. Then a weak heat up. This means that if you're landing weak attack into the enemy that is weak to slash or any other element, you're going to improve your damage by 50%, up to 2 times. So this means Musashi gets 400% damage increase just from all those stacks. But your allies will get 200 if they are taking full benefit, alongside the extra 15%, and then alongside all the extra slash attack boosts that you can get and the other attack boosts that you get when you are hit. A lot of different effects. Musashi is actually pretty crazy as a buffer. He requires slash squads to be on full potential. When he attacks, he always chases with a 4S power attack with slash and lightning. So this will be rank 1, still super strong, especially starting from turn 3 onwards. You're gonna see the damage and it will be very good. Now, you have skill 1, Lightning Cut, C power, and 2 EP cost, slash lightning. You only use this if you don't have enough EP to use Flying Jolting Slash. Because this skill is slash in lightning, before attacking grants the user Kugutsu support. That is a way to give even more slash attack boosts to Musashi. He can reach as much as 440% slash damage increase, but he doesn't really take full benefit of that because you have to consider that you will have only 3 stacks till you see the chase attack on the next turn. And then you may actually reach the 440% damage increase, but it doesn't really make any difference. The turn 2 Jolting Slash damage, for example, will already be strong. And then on turn 3, even stronger, but it's 330% slash damage just from all the slash passives from Kugutsu support, alongside all the other ones that you get from this. So, it easily breaks through the 800 damage potential from all of the attack boosts. It's amazing. So a 4S power attack with that much is really, really strong. Okay, and because of that, you will also be recovering your HP 4 times, 400 each. So he kind of recovers half of his HP when he's attacking. And he will also recover extra 8 BP. And another 3 BP, because everyone gets 3 BP, he actually has 11 BP per turn. And just see that his best attack uses 12. It will be very easy to keep using this skill. Sadly, he does not have an even stronger attack. I wish he had something with extra force, because extra force already amplifies damage on the end of the calculations by sometimes 25, sometimes 50, times multiple times. So Musashi place in the meta is as a buffer that does much more damage than Lolo, for example. Not really better than Lolo because Lolo works in all types of squads and also increases the BP gauge, something that helps in some specific fights where the enemy will either decrease your max BP gauge or increase the BP cost of your skills. Something that Musashi won't help much, even though he can give you extra BP when you are using Slash. You can still use, for example, a very amazing squad that will be made of Musashi, Lolo, Dolores, Chisuna, and Diva. That would be crazy good. You can replace one of those with Suinas if you want as well, because Suinas pair super well with Dolores. Do you need all that much? You don't. That is overkill. That is why it's sometimes hard to justify pulling for Musashi, because he works super similar to Lolo. But in some fights, it may be nice to bring, for example, all of them save for Diva if you want, because in this case, you have lots of defense boost and support. Remember just that your Tsuna will be applying lots of defense boosts, and your Suinas can give you 4 defense ups. You're not gonna take much damage, even though power creep will eventually meet these characters, and I don't believe that it will be too soon. So the problem is that we right now have 6 very good slash damage dealers, and Musashi is just yet another one. You may actually prefer to use your gens into something else, but it's not to say that Musashi is not any short of amazing. I really believe he deserves a 5 out of 5, and is the best one of the new batch of characters, most likely because of being so easy to build slash squads. Anyway, let's go on and talk about Philosopher. He is an area attacker and has 131% dexterity alongside 98% endurance and 95% will. Very bad volleys. Agility is 103%, that's pretty okay, and he does have 92% to be a debuffer for his intelligence. Well, nothing here is that high. But then again, let's start talking about why he's a Rose in area specialist. Starts the fight to 12 VP to use any of his best attacks. Then he will grant himself an area attacker. That is a passive. And he can trigger this 2 times, while any other allies can only trigger once. What does it give? When you use an outrange or a ranged attack. What is an outrange attack? It's a full AoE attack. A range attack, it's either row or column based. So, any of those. Made for multiple targets. You will then grant all surviving allies an attack boost that will improve damage potential by 20%. They last for 3 turns. And will stack. You're also going to apply an all allies defense boost medium that will decrease damage taken by 15%. Only for that turn. You also recover all surviving allies HP. If all of your characters have AoE, you're going to trigger this 6 times, for example, because Philosopher can trigger twice. And you are going to recover your BP by 3. That is just to self. Lots of different effects, right? It is made for specific Spiral Coherer fights, or versus the Roadblocker, or versus the Hana Water Remembrance, because there are multiple targets and we want to use multi-ranged attacks. That's nice, but just think about the defense boost part. It only lasts for 1 turn. Even though it's nice because it's 15% and you can trigger it 6 times, it is just for 1 turn. You have to reapply, and if the enemy is faster than some of your characters, you may not see the full value. Anyway, when landing an attack, he always chases with Floating Sword Ballet. That is an AoE, a power attack, just pierce damage. Then, on the start of a turn, he will grant another 15% attack boost for everyone, and then activates the following effects 5 times per battle. He will improve full AoE damage by 30%, column attacks by 30%, row attacks by 30% as well. 5 times per battle. So on turn 5, you will see 150% improvement for AoE, column, and row. He does not stack between them because an attack is either one of those. He then has a 30% damage increase at all times, and then all range or ranged attacks will improve by 80%, and when attacked, damage will be reduced by 30%. Okay, so he actually can be seen as a different type of specialist. I do believe that a closest competitor or comparison is Club or Pina. Club or Pina is a random attacker buffer. Via her battling knowledge passive, she gives 5 to herself and 2 for all allies, that if they attack with your single target attacks or random attacks, they can get lots of effects. The difference with Urpina is that she applies defense boost either to it's small, just 10%, it lasts for 2 turns. So you can actually see a better stability for defense boosts because of this. They will also be getting BP and at least 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 6, depending if they have a random attack and follow with another random attack. Another good thing is that because of this, when facing just one enemy, you can bring characters with random attacks, like Creator. Creator attacks random targets. Now, if there's just one boss using row, column, or AoE, it's not that interesting. That's why Philosopher actually has a lot of restrictions when being used for real content. But in specific Remembrance and Spiral challenges, he's gonna rock. Anyway, skill number 1, Cross Sting, is a row attack and then a column attack of E power and 3 BP cost. Just pierce damage, but that's actually pretty nice. 2 hits with area damage and, well, 2 hits of E power equals at least S damage. Then a second skill, Vertical Triple Thrust, is very similar to the Horizontal Triple Thrust. One is column, the other one is row, and both do just pierce damage, and when the attack lands, there's a chance to debuff the intelligence of the enemy by 15% on max level. His intelligence is not that high, just 92%, but in some Remembrance fights it will be more than enough to debuff the enemy. And if he's used versus the Hana Waters or future content like Butcher, he can help decrease damage taken from some of the attacks. After the Vertical Triple Thrust or Horizontal Triple Thrust that take 12 BP to use, he would then follow up with Floating Sword Ballet. And then each of these attacks will also trigger a new one. If you are using the vertical attack, you're going to chase with another column attack. If you're using the horizontal attack, you're going to chase with another row attack. That means that he actually will be hitting 3 times with E power, then 1 time with A power, and then 1 time with S power. Well, the damage can be actually pretty nice. Remember that some characters had 5 hit attacks with E power only, and Philosopher has 5 hits with different types of damage. But when talking about just one enemy, this is just not the way that we're handling content right now. You need to see at least 2 enemies or he wouldn't be justified. So he is even better because he is an S word user, and we still need more S word users for Remembrance. And there will be other fights where there are multiple enemies. But he's way too much of an niche type to be really useful as a character that you say, okay, it's so nice to have Philosopher. But he is also an easy click to win versus the Hana Warrior if you haven't yet, or give you some help versus World Blocker too. But not really essential, not really that important, just here and there. I believe that he deserves a 4 out of 5 by being a specialist, but is also easy to skip. The next one would be BX10-EX, and here we have good SGR, 137 and 124% agility. Well, these status are made for damage because it's a meme arts user, and we have 106% endurance and will. Well, could be higher, but it's okay. Moving on, let's start off a turn. You're gonna get a weak attack boost and a resist defense boost. So when landing weak attacks, you're going to improve your damage potential by 30%, and if you resist an attack, you're going to decrease damage taken by 10%. That's okay if you think about it. This will happen more times. The skill 2 as well, when you're red, you're going to apply this permanently again. But in this case, you're going to improve your damage even further. You have 60% damage increase for weak attacks now, and another 10% damage reduction. Well, they say different things like extreme ninja, but JP says that the values are the same, because one comes from skill, the other one comes from passive. And then you can carry another time by use of skill 3, cutting tackle, single target, blunt, that before attacking grants yet another weak attack boost. This time you can reach 35%, and will also cast a resist defense boost, but because this can level to 99, it will be up to 15% defense. So up to 95% damage improvement, and then 2 stacks of 10 and 1 stack of 15%. The attack itself is not that strong, but triple S power is okay. Now let's get back. This character wants to bring something new, but it's also competing to Diva, and we'll be talking about that. We have the same type of taunt. A taunt that lasts for 4 turns with a large effect. It's not the best type of taunt. The best type of taunt in the game right now comes from Formina, that has the best one, where she already has medium taunt that lasts for 4 turns, but she also applies stealth to allies, so they decrease their chance of being attacked as well. This type of taunt is the same as Diva, and they are actually pretty similar because it just gives large effect. But Diva has cover that actually is very useful with the way that she gets extra chases when being hit. The X10 is a little different though. Besides the taunt, every turn you get 1 damage block for 1 turn. Diva gets 1 every 3 turns, or you can use a skill that gives that. When you land an attack, you're always going to chase with Rush plus 2 times. That is an S power attack that is row based. Why is it row based? Because of the Hana Water fight. It will help there, but maybe you don't need BX10 just for this. When you are directly attacked though, you're gonna reduce damage taken and counter attack with Rush plus the same attack, but only once. By the end of a turn, BX10 recovers 3 BP, so it is a 6 BP per turn character. Now, Rush plus as a counter is not that strong, it's just S power, but remember that Blade from Diva is just A power, but Diva keeps buffing damage, just like BX10. Yeah, they share the same passive. When you are attacking, you are going to apply an attack boost of 15% damage increase for everyone in the party that lasts for 2 turns, and it will stack. So even when you are countering, you're going to apply that. You'll also be buffing the offensive status SGR, dexterity, agility, and intelligence by 15%. So, when you attack, you're going to increase your own damage potential, but also everyone else's. You will be attacking 3 times, once with your command, 2 times via chase, and then when you are attacked, you can attack more. Diva eventually attacks even more than BX10, so you're going to apply more buffs with Diva than BX10. When you are attacked though, you have same effects as Diva. You're going to buff a defense boost that increases damage taken for everyone by 15%, but just for that turn. You are also going to buff Endurance Will, Love, and Charisma by 15%. You are also going to trigger this less times than Diva, because Diva has cover. So the times where she's not hit, you can still 50% of the time cover an ally, and then it will trigger the effects there. But still pretty similar. When attacked, damage will be reduced at all times by 50%, and by the end of a turn will cleanse all ailments. That's nice for a tank, and Diva has as well. Moving on, the first skill, Body Drunk Plus. It's a single target attack that has C power for 2 BP. You will also recover HP by around 400. It's interesting that it's blunt and pierce because the other attack is just blunt, and all the other ones are also just blunt. We already discussed the other attacks, so BX10 wants to use the third one with 10 BP cost, but you only generate 6 BP, and you need to get the extra ones from external sources. If you have Lolo, for example, you're gonna get some extra BP. Tsuna gives up to 3, so it won't be that hard to have those effects depending on the cards that you bring around. And for example, if you bring Dentark gives you 4. That will already give enough for BX10 to keep using skill 3 all the time. The difference between BX10 and Diva is that you will have extra defense boosts. You can get, like I said, 2 stacks of 10 and 1 stack of 15% if you keep using skill 3. Something that Diva does not have. When Diva is attacked, it starts from 0 every new turn, so you have to keep reapplying the defense boosts. But Diva has something better. When she stacks so many of her Crescendo Blade and chooses a turn to use her Overdrive and chases multiple times, she amplifies the damage of your attackers in that turn for so much that it really makes a big difference in some fights, especially since it's easier to make Flash-based squads than Blunt-based squads. But for Blunt-based squads, we also have a very good character. That one is Minstrel. Minstrel gives lots of defense boost to the party, applies Morale Down Large to the enemy, applies some guard downs, and will allow any blunt damage dealer to also buff break the enemy and debuff the enemy. So I do believe that Minstrel and BX10 actually make for a good team, and especially if you also got, for example, the Scarecrow. The Scarecrow improves the damage of the party. And there is also Blah. Blah is not really a good character for party play, in the way that she does not have chase, she won't trigger many effects from other characters. She applies what she wants to apply, and that's it. But overall, the X10 works. It's just blunt based, so pretty limited. And for Remembrance, I do believe we were in need of better counter tanks, but we got plenty of them in the past. They just feel a little outdated, and BX10 is the next step, but still not better than Diva if you got her. That's why it's so hard to justify going for this character. I believe BX10 deserves 4.5 out of 5 because the defensive part can still be pretty amazing, but Diva is better. Anyway, let's go back to the banner image. Is this banner worth summoning for? I would say yes and no. It is better, in my opinion, than Imaku banner overall, because Musashi is such a big player if you have a slash squad. Although Imaku does pierce damage that is harder to find, I do believe that Musashi as a character is kinda OP. And because of that, targeting Musashi makes more sense. Sometimes you prefer to have, for example, one top tier unit that will stay relevant for longer than to have a character that will be facing competition in the upcoming weeks. I know that Blot is actually very useful for Remembrance, but so will be BX10 to bring it. And even Philosopher, because it uses an Nessus word. So I do believe this banner is a little better, and we receive a Silver Plus award. I still believe it's easy to skip because there are way too many good slash attackers, and if you only want Musashi, you can probably live without him and do just fine. But if you decided to skip Lolo for whatever the reason, maybe because you got the other characters and not that many pulls, Musashi can fill up at least when you are bringing a full slash squad. Anyway, I decided to skip this banner, at least for now, till we see the announcements of the Romancing SaGa 3 banners that are coming up in the near future. That's all I have to say. If you don't agree with me, say here on the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and if you want to support the channel, we have links on the description. I hope to see you soon on the next one. Goodbye.